is the next topic that we would like to address. Was it a success? Was it a success for children to have better medicines evaluated in the US and in Europe? The answer is yes, when the disease is the same in adults and children. Just look at a figure from the European report on the pediatric regulation, a significant increase over time. This was a success for rheumatology. This was a success for infectious disease. But clearly it was not working for neonatology. Obvious, there are no adult diseases in neonates, but also for pediatric oncology. And why? Well, the reason is evident and it was anticipated before the regulation was set up. The malignancies are different in adults and children, even though they may share the same targets. For example, BRAF is mutated in melanoma, which is mainly an adult disease, and BRAF is mutated in low-grade glioma, which is mainly a pediatric disease. But we use the same medicine because we consider rather the mechanism of action than the adult indication. But you understood from the US and European regulation that the concept consider that if the malignancy is not existing in children, then the company gets a waiver and doesn't have to develop the medicine in children. And in addition to this issue of indication, there have been too many deferrals with regard to the development of pediatric malignancies. So just a few examples to show you. To address the issue of waiver, there have been lists of diseases not occurring or rarely in children that have been issued by the FDA, by the EMA. And it was important because it meant that there was no need for a pharma to justify that the product to treat such a disease would need epidemiological data and demonstrating that, of course, it does not exist in children. So through this list, waivers were automatically granted. This is the current class waiver list or automatic waivers in the US. You see the numbers, and for example, there is Alzheimer's disease. Well, there is no Alzheimer's disease in children, and lung cancer. There is no lung cancer in children. In Europe, such a list was issued at the very beginning in 2008, revised several times. The last revision was in 2015, trying to improve this class waiver list. But this really caused damage or no development for many drugs in children. And I would like to illustrate that to share with you the ALK inhibition story that most of you may know. In 1994, the ALK gene, ALK for anaplastic lymphoma kinase, was discovered as a hallmark of this lymphoma, anaplastic large cell lymphoma, occurring both in adults and children. It was found altered in lung cancer, in a rare soft tissue sarcoma, IMT, and in a very specific pediatric tumor, neuroblastoma. In 2011, the first anti-ALK inhibitor, the first ALK inhibitor, was approved for the treatment of lung cancer, ALK-positive lung cancer. In 2011 in the US and in 2012 in Europe. Under the PRIA, under the pediatric regulation, a waiver was issued for the development of crizotinib in children on the ground that lung cancer does not occur in children. The company did not develop the drug. But the pediatric oncologists found that, well, the target is really oncogenic and important for this disease. This drug is quite interesting, with quite interesting results in adults. We should clearly evaluate. And academic pediatric development with several clinical trials have been run with more than 200 patients who could participate, showing the activity of crizotinib in these malignancies. And the good news is that last January 14, 2021, these data generated by academia were submitted by the company to the Food and Drug Administration, and an authorization for the use of crizotinib in anaplastic large cell lymphoma was granted. In Europe, there is a pediatric investigation plan up and running for ILCL and IMT. And in the next months, it's pretty sure that we will have also, we hope, an authorization for children using crizotinib. So if you look at this slide, it's been 10 years. 10 years in between the first marketing authorization of crizotinib in adults and the first marketing authorization of crizotinib in children, due to a waiver. And we say this is a scientifically and medically unjustified waiver. It means that for all these 10 years, the only possibility for children to have access to crizotinib was through clinical trials. And we know that clinical trials are not available everywhere, which means that maybe patients did not get access to crizotinib and did not benefit from it and died. This is what needs to be addressed to improve and accelerate the development of pediatric medicine for children with cancer. Just a word on late onset. This is just the illustration of nivolumab and pembrolizumab that you know, the checkpoint inhibitor, the first of a long series of new immunotherapy, which has been first approved for the treatment of melanoma in the US in 2014, in Europe in 2015, after 4 to 6 years development in adults. Interestingly, the pediatric development of these two compounds started only early 2015, where the drug was already approved in adults, which means that time was lost. Instead of looking at the evaluation in children before marketing authorization, to have the information as soon as possible, is it working or not? The delay in this was such that the pediatric development was at the time of the drug already approved.